Hello, welcome to the channel. My name's Pete, and in this series we're covering the Cross Gates to Wetherby railway line. The last episode we checked out Cross Gates railway station, the sidings and where they started, and now we're at the start of the Wetherby railway line. So just down there are the abutments of a bridge that used to carry the goods line over to Cross Gates goods yard and railway station. So down there is Cross Gates East Junction, or what used to be, and then this is where the line came off. Now we're already in a cut-in because this station was built in a cut-in down at Cross Gates. So here, up to that green fence, the cut-in is still there, but we can't get there. This is network rail land. We've already been down where that green fence is, and that's where the backfill starts because it's been filled in a little bit over there. And then we're going to go over to Osthorpe Lane where there's a road bridge that would cross this line. So there's nothing to see down there except what we've already looked at, and we'll go over to Osthorpe Lane road bridge. Going to the maps, Cross Gates railway station is here. We're going to be starting here where the bridge crossed over the Cross Gates to Wetherby railway line. Our line heads north and we will be looking at the remains of this bridge, and then there's a deep cut-in and then another railway bridge, and we should be going all the way up to Pendas Way railway station. This map is really quite old and we can see how sparsely populated the area is. If we move over to the next map, the area is now becoming very populated. This estate up here is all Pendas Way, and we shall be looking for Pendas Way railway station, which is here. Zooming in on Pendas Way railway station, we can see the footbridge, we can see the platforms, and we can see the footpath that would access that, and we're going to be taking a look at that as well. I have come across this aerial photograph, and this shows the crossing from the Cross Gates to Selby Railway line up into the goods yard where the bridge was, the bridge that now no longer exists, and we can clearly see a bridge here as well on Manston Lane. We can now see that and we can see an access crossing which we'll be looking at, and we can also see in not very clear detail the railway station. We can see the footbridge, the barrow crossing, and the platforms were in between. What you can see behind me is the remains of one of the bridges that goes over the railway line at Osthorpe Lane. This is the Wetherby line, and then there's one over there, the Cross Gates to Selby line. Now there are part remains of the wall here at this side. It's all been backfilled all the way down there. It's only about 150 yards. And this is what remains of the bridge. So it's probably still, well, it is still here. It's just been filled in underneath. And we're at that side where it's been filled in slightly. There's a cut-in, and we're going to go over there next. I've come down into the cut-in now. This is Osthorpe Lane here, and this is the bridge, but it is completely filled in. There's a gas main that runs over there, and this is what was the Bamboo Ordnance Factory. This is all infill, what I'm stood on. So we're not going to see a great deal, but what we will see are some fence posts I'm hoping, and you can see nobody walks this, but we're going to walk it. We're going to see if it goes any lower and see if we can get down to the original track bed. I'm probably at least 15 feet higher than the original track bed. I'm going to go up there, I'm going to see what there is, and I'll show you as we go along whilst we make our way to the next road bridge. It is pretty tough going down here, look. It's thick brambles. I've managed to see sort of a little track through, but there is literally just embankment slight at that side and at that side, but it's all been filled in. But we do have fence posts here with that Y shape at the top. This is where the ordnance factory was, where they were producing munitions for World War II. So it's nice to see that they've left these posts in place. But at that side, it's just all modern, or should I say, all later than the railway. And I don't know why all this bit's been filled in. So I don't know if when they were building these estates up here, they tipped everything down here. But we're definitely not on the track bed as yet. I'll keep going and see what we come across. We can see here on the embankment, people in houses are using this for fly tipping, and there's evidence of that all the way up on either side. And I think I'm getting close to the end, which I'm pretty glad, because this is impassable basically. So I'm having to pick my way through. As you can see, there's just more fly tipping here. Gates, absolutely anything. I've come across all prams and kiddies' toys and all sorts, garden waste. I don't think I'm going to be able to get through, but I'll try one more time. So I've managed to make it through that lot down there. We're almost at original track bed level, but it's not. It's not the original track bed level, but almost. Now, there was a bridge here. I think it's been demolished and filled in looking at it. The road is more modern than the original road, it's wider. This was nothing but a track. So I think the original bridge has been demolished. I've just come back down to show you again. There's the track bed down there. And it is fairly low, but it's not quite low enough to get under this road. So the original bridge is gone. And I've tried to get photographs of this, but I can't find any. That was tough going through that lot. I mean, it might look clear there, but that's knee deep. And it's like winter hasn't hit here yet, because all the brambles and all the nettles are in place. If you appreciate me getting stung and cut up all over my legs, please buy me a coffee from the link in the description below. I'm going to go over the road because now it should be much easier going, because it's a public footpath to where we're going next, and I will tell you about that when we get there. And it's called Pendas Way. Some people refer to it as a station and some people refer to it as a halt, and it was a later addition to the line. And I'll tell you a bit more on that when we get there. Now, those houses there are called Pendas Way, and they were built in the early 30s. About the same time as this factory here was built, which we've still got original fence posts for, which have all been knocked down now and built on. And many of the workers used to live in these houses and they needed to get to work. So they built another station up there a bit later. But we're going to walk up there. I'll tell you about the railway line a little bit more. Leaving Manston Lane, what was a bridge behind us, demolished and gone, we're going to go back onto the track bed. It's a public footpath now, so I don't know how long it'll take, if at all, it gets down to the original level. But we're going to be scouring either side and see if we can find any original railway fence posts, any metalwork or anything at all. This railway line opened in 1876, so long after Railway Mania, and it was opened by the North Eastern Railway, and it closed under British Railways in 1964 due to the beaching cuts. I've not been able to find any statistics on whether it was a profitable line at closure or not, but I can tell you now it would be, because this line would be much needed today. I'm not far from this area, and Wetherby isn't far from Leeds, and it's a huge commuter route from Leeds, well, from Wetherby to Leeds. So you can guarantee this line would be needed today. There was the potential of reopening this line, or some of it anyway, but I'll tell you about that further down when we get towards Scholes railway station, which will be the second one on our journey. Pendas Way being our next one, and we're still in a cut-in. It's quite high up there, quite high up there. Now, we could be more or less at the original track bed, however it has got stone on the ground. because it's a public footpath and maintained, and either side has been built on. This side being older than this side, because that's still Pendas Way. I'll switch the camera off for now, and if I see anything interesting on the way, I'll be sure to film it, and we'll see if we can work out what it is. Right, I found something. It's not going to take too much working out because it's a whacking great bridge. I don't think I'm going to be able to access it from down below, so I'm not going to be able to get some above shots. I will try. Beautiful, and it also proves we're not at track bed level, because you can tell by the load bearing stones on it. Here we go, look at that, and you can see the soot. That's why it's black. You can see all that soot round there still. It's in remarkable condition. It's had a little bit of pointing up at the top there. And we've got our walls here supporting our buttresses. Big pillars on either side. Now these are our load bearing stones here for the arch there. That's normally a foot higher than what I'm stood at, so the track bed has been filled in. Stone construction around the outside. Got our lovely tooling on there still. All the men that built this bridge, get it here and build it. The soot, it's covered in it. There's loads of it. I don't think I've ever seen a bridge so covered in soot. Black as the ace of spades up there. And it looks like I might be able to get up the top. It looks like there's an original railway fence post as well. Yeah, I can get on top, so we'll have a look at it on the top. And this is this side. This was an occupation crossing, it was nothing more. So this is on top of the bridge. As you can see, it's got quite an arch on it, and it's very narrow, and it's just a public footpath these days, farmers access. Of course, they've had to put railings up like this for the idiots today. But that is looking back towards Cross Gates. And this is looking towards our next railway station at Pendas Way. This is the Pendas Way estate, and that's Pendas Way, the road. Now the way you access this station was through a small footpath, and I'll show you that when we get there. And we've got these big buttress ends here. I don't see any mason's marks on any of these bridges when I come looking at them. Maybe too late for that. But beautiful craftsmanship. So we'll get back down there and get back on the track bed. So when this railway line was built, that estate didn't exist. That was built in the early 30s. This estate is quite a new estate, so that was never there. And this was an occupation bridge. This one here. To access the farmland at this side. You know, there's still a field here, but this is now a sports ground, football pitch. But I was right, these are still railway fence posts. This one looks like it might have been a tensioning one with the amount of holes in it. And then there are a few more down there as well. I can see another one, two. So that's nice to see. I've arrived at the station, and it's not far away from that occupation crossing down there. Just before where I show you where the station was, the footpath used to be between those two houses there, which is 134 and 136, and there was a narrow footpath that you were used to access the platform, and I'll go around to the other side and show you where that is. People post photographs saying that the station was up there, but I painstakingly research these lines when I do them, and I use grid references and all sorts. I have been round to show you where the access was between 136 and 134 Pendas Way. That's here. That's exactly there. That is where the access was. So the station and the platforms were here. But we're just going to go back there a little bit further. There are clues that give it all away. Mainly the shape of the gardens of the properties. where they're a bit wider to accommodate a platform. There's nothing here today. There's our bridge. There are some photographs of this station which I will match up. There was a lattice bridge that crossed here, an iron lattice bridge, the same that was at Cross Gates back there, a northeastern one. And it had wooden platforms, and they were pretty much demolished straight away as soon as the line closed. Probably to stop people coming and stealing things, bits of wood for their gardens. Now I'm going to walk you up to the edge of the station. There are some photographs of this as well where I'll match up. So there's our occupation crossing. Roughly there, where that sticks out, is where the access was to the station from Pendas Way, between two houses along a narrow footpath which is now gone. I've taken a picture of that and I've shown you where that was. Pendas Way railway station is a railway station on the Cross Gates to Wetherby line, and it's on the eastern edge of Cross Gates in West Yorkshire. The station opened on the 5th of June 1939 to serve this new housing estate, and also I believe there was access that could get you to Bamboo Factory. Pendas Way is named after a king that was killed in battle during, because we're like Sherburn in Helmet and that kind of area now, Berwick in Helmet. And during those days all the different areas had their different kings, and it's named after one of the kings that was killed in battle. The station was named by Gertrude Bray, a local builder and politician who was responsible for developing that housing estate. And it closed on the 6th of January 1964 with the rest of the line. Now we're back to where the access was through the gap through between the houses, which means about another 10 metres that way, probably where this pile sticks out, is where the lattice footbridge came over across the line down to this side. Now it's easy to mistake it for being up there, because it does look like that's where it could have been, but it couldn't possibly have been up there unless all these house numbers have been changed, which I don't think they have, because I've looked on old maps and tried to compare it. The station was intended to serve the increasing number of commuter traffic into the area. Its platforms were both 120 yards long, that's 110 metres, and waiting rooms on it, and had been made out of wood. And I've already mentioned the lattice footbridge at the north end of the platforms, which is here. This is the north end. That's the southern end where there was a barrow crossing, and the northern end here. And I think this is where the footbridge was, because there's your access, and here is different, and that could have been where your footbridge was to access over the line. The station was staffed and it handled parcels as well as baskets of homing pigeons, but it never had any freight facilities. Although we've referred to it as a station, people think it was a halt because it's built out wooden platforms and no goods yard. We've already mentioned the barrow crossing, which was down there, and this is about the area where the lattice bridge was, somewhere around here. I've had a look and scratch around, but I can't find any concrete footings or anything, nothing. Only that bit of land there sticks out a bit more than everywhere else, because the wooden platforms would have been down here a little bit. And that's where Pendas railway station was. Station or a halt, you decide. Probably a halt, but people refer to it as a station, and that's where it was, here. People think it was up there, and I'll show you why in the next episode. We've still got demarcation boundary markers at that side, and of course this backs onto the gardens when this railway station, this housing estate was built. I've got some photos that I'm going to match in for you now. In the meantime, if you have enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. It helps get this stuff around and about, and it shares it with other people with like-minded interests. If you wish to support the channel in any other way, please do so. I've got a GoFundMe that goes towards petrol, and same with Buy Me a Coffee, that also goes towards petrol. I hope you're enjoying looking at this line. I know I am. I've been wanting to do it for quite a long time, so I thought, do you know what, let's just crack on and get it done. Please take care, and I'll see you in the next episode.